Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter. Sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host, and today we have a couple of great guests who have been on before. We have Mike Lashari and Jason Logsdon. They are part of the duo of the International Sous Vide Association. Jason also has Amazing Food Made Easy, and Mike is, in his own right, the president of the International Sous Vide Association. Am I correct?
Close. Jason's president. I'm CEO. I don't want to step on his toes.
Yeah, well, you're the big boss, and he's the little boss. Let's just say
I have to take every chance to exert my authority.
Okay, Jason, let's introduce yourself. Let these people know who you are, where you're from, and all that, and then we'll get on to Mike.
Well, I'm Jason Logsdon, like Darren said, with the ISVA and also Amazing Food Made Easy. I'm living in lovely Brooklyn right now, which is enjoying springtime here, even if the only time we can get out of the house is to walk dogs, and restaurants may never be open here again. Feels like sometimes, but I'm just an adventurous home cook who likes exploring everything from blowtorches to sous vide and whipping siphons to spherification. So I'm excited to be on here again and chatting with Darren as always.
And you got a vac master in your office, so that's pretty good. So.
Yeah, my office is also my kitchen. You can see the it's very, very high tech we have here in our very spacious New York apartment.
Yeah, well, space is a commodity there in New York. I know even the hotel rooms there are very, very tight. So it's not. I love New York City, but I don't know if I want to live there. I love visiting there. We go up there at least every couple of years and love having adventures up there. But so I wouldn't want to be up there right now, not with all this that's going on. All right, so Mike Lashari, who are you? Where are you? Let's get all that.
So I'm one of the co-founders, of course, with Jason, CEO of the ISVA. My background's in events, conferences. I'm an event strategist. So I had this idea a couple of years ago, and thank God Jason didn't think it was a horrible idea and agreed to partner with me on this. And it's just been a blast. I live in Baltimore. I have 2 little kids. My wife is a physician, just finished her last day in the COVID ward yesterday. So I'm grateful for that. Wow. And, we're same as everybody else, just waiting for things to open back up a little bit.
Now, how long did she have to be in the COVID ward there, and how many people were in it?
So she's got another year in residency. So her rotation was, this one was about 2 weeks, but she's been in and out over the last, month or two, kind of covering. For the most part, she's had some extra time off, which has been nice as they were trying to conserve the workforce, which sounds great, but it also sounds like, we don't want everybody to get sick all at the same time. But it's been busy. I think her hospital has about 3 floors full of the COVID ICU, and a lot of just heartbreaking stories coming out of there right now. So thoughts are with definitely all the families who've been affected. This is a horrible thing that our whole world's dealing with right now.
And I don't think a lot of us, and I know me and my wife, like I just told you guys earlier, we both work from home, and so we don't really get out to see what's going on, and we don't know a lot of people that have been affected by it, personally. I mean, we all have been affected by it, but I mean, anybody that has it or has been hospitalized for it or anything. But I know that it is devastating, all the stuff that's going on. So you got in, you're in event planning, so it was kind of natural for you to put together the International Sous Vide Association and these events. But how did you get involved into sous vide cooking?
It's funny. My mother-in-law gave me a circulator. It's actually a Sancerre back when they were at Sur La Table. And I still joke with my wife that it's the best physical gift anybody has ever gotten me, like actual tangible present. That was, I think, for Christmas of 2014. And I've always been into cooking, and, it's just another gadget on the list to try out. And I think it took me about 2 steaks to fall in love with it and just start pushing the boundaries of it. Got one of Jason's books. That's really what got me started. And got into his Facebook group, and then fast forward a couple of years, and I was like, we really need to, like, I'm an event planner and I really love bringing people together, and there's a great community here, but we don't have an opportunity to actually get together and cook together and talk shop and, build new friendships. And so I reached out to Jason, not knowing him, but knowing who he was, because he was my teacher through his books. And gratefully he answered the Facebook message, and I think it took us about 2 weeks to get an LLC together and decide from first call on, this was the dream that we were going to go after.
So it wasn't just starting the ISVA, but it was also starting your relationship as friends. So you didn't really know each other too much before that, probably just from maybe the Facebook group. And like you said, you read some books of his, probably followed his website and all that.
Yep.
So what did you think of this, Jason, when this guy, probably Facebook messaged you and said, hey, let's do this?
I figured there was like probably 50-50 that it was a scam, just reaching out. I kept waiting for him to say, like, yeah, we can get this conference going. I just need a check for, like $5,000 and we'll get it going. And then eventually I was like, if this is a scam, it's just the most drawn out, worst planned scam in the history of scams. So I finally came around, and it was definitely kind of a surreal experience being at the conference last year. There was like, yeah, this was, random dude reached out to me on Facebook, and here we are with 150, 160 Sous Vide enthusiasts, amazing speakers and presenters, and just having an entire weekend of great time. And, Mike and I have become good friends now, and, it's been quite a journey, and I'm really looking forward to the conference again this year. That it's not going to be able to be in person, unfortunately, but doing it virtual, and a lot of the good speakers coming back, adding some amazing speakers like yourself, sir, should be good. And just really looking forward to sharing some more sous vide fun again.
So you kind of pulled the bandage off, really fast, and did the first one. From what I understand, I mean, I talked to a lot of people. I interviewed some of the people that were participated in it, and everybody I talked to actually had a great time, loved it. We're looking forward to the next one. How behind the scenes though, how stressful was it? How hard was it to get that first, sous vide summit off the ground, and just have it be successful?
There's a ton of work. There's a whole lot that went into it, and Mike and I were both really busy for the whole. We basically had, I think, 15 months to plan it and get the sponsors on board and convince them of stuff. And it was funny because people like at the conference kept coming up to me because I was emceeing and I was out there a lot, and they'd say like, where are the power cords? I go, I don't know, ask Mike. Where is this? I don't know, ask Mike. Like, there was so much behind the scenes details and coordination that he handled from start to finish that it was really amazing. Just, how much he had done that I didn't even need to be involved in, that he put me in front of a lot of the sponsors and a lot of the speakers and kind of in front of the attendees. And he handled almost all of the logistics of the entire conference on his own.
So Mike, you do this for a living. How different is it for doing it for somebody else than doing it for something that you actually started and built yourself?
I mean, there's a certain stress that comes with it because, at the end of the day, you're the one writing the checks. But overall, it was just fun. I mean, I love this work. There's a reason that I do what I do. I love the business and I love food. And so marrying the two was just natural. And, if there's one regret, it's that I only got to go to one session at my own conference, which we're, working on. Gratefully, we've had some awesome people step up since the last one who were there, who said, look, we want to help. We want to be a part of this. But, that was sort of Jason and I, really the conversation going into it is, look, we got to divide and conquer. I can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere. And this is my deal. And, you're great with people. So let's just kind of make it happen, make it awesome. And then we'll troubleshoot it after and figure out, what we need to change for next time.
Yeah, and I'm sure it being the first one, it's always going to be, you want it to go off without a hitch, and you want to have hands-on a lot more than once you get a few of these under your belt and you get people that do step up and want to help you, and are willing to help, and you have more confidence that it's going to go off no matter what you do. I think it's going to be better. It kind of stinks that this year we're having to do it virtually, because I was really looking forward to come out to San Francisco and participate, but it's another thing that's going to make you better down the road, I guess.
Yeah, well, and to your point, I would be remiss if I didn't, mention just all of the people that did support us the first year. I mean, as far as first year, I've fortunately or unfortunately done a lot of first time events. I have a lot of new clients that like to kick stuff off, and they are always incredibly stressful. And I'll say, as a first time event, it went off pretty darn smoothly. I mean, I think the worst thing that we had happen was one of our keynotes couldn't make it because the airlines canceled his flights and there were no other options to get in. And I I think in general it went really well. The marketing process was great. People were able to come, and a lot of that is due to the people that really supported us at the beginning. If you look on our website, people like you who are part of our advisory committee and really helped shape this vision and helped to add credibility. I mean, Jason has a lot of credibility in this market. I'm just some random dude. So to have people like David Petranzik from Polyscience and have a James Brishon and Scott Heimendinger and all of these like huge names.
AJ from Crea.
AJ and Gerard both. I mean, the Crea team in general, they I think they had 8 people there and they just killed it. I mean, they were far and above the best food team I've ever worked with in an event. So I think without all of that, it would have been a much different story. But we had a ton of support, and people believed in the concept and believed that we could pull it off, and we did together. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we were really lucky that we had some great sponsors come on board. But then the people, like, sponsors are one thing, they're companies, and as you know, Darren, you work with a lot of brands, like they are their own kind of thing. But the people that work with the brands and are the ones you have to interface with, they can be very different than the brand. And we were really lucky at the conference that the people that we worked with that showed up from the brands were amazing. Eric Villegas from Backmaster, and we had, David Petranzik was great talking to everyone. AJ, we had Vesta was there, and there's all these people that are competitors, and their companies are competitors, but they really just got together and had a good time, and it was a very friendly kind of interface with everyone. And it was just great to see people from different circulator manufacturers just getting together and hanging out and having fun.
Yeah, and you had some people show up, I mean, as speakers that normally take money to show up to speak, that I don't know if you did, but I doubt that some of these people actually you had to pay to come. They were just excited to come and speak.
Yeah, we were really lucky that some people waived their fees and they came out, and we were a new conference, we couldn't afford to pay people, and to have people like James Brishon come out, and it was Meathead flew out on his own dime to do a big presentation, and sear steaks, and just all these people were excited for the conference and came out, and their enthusiasm really showed through at the conference itself, because everyone just had a good time. And the people we had there, you could very easily see them step up on stage for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, give their presentation and leave. But they didn't. They hung out. They went to the receptions. They pitched in at the receptions. They chatted with people. They'd sit down in a corner and have a conversation about some nuances of Sous Vide with one of our attendees. And they didn't have to do that, but they were just generally excited to be there, which is great.
Yeah.
I think I know I talked to like Meathead and some of the others that were just generally very interested in what was going on. And I know that, Meathead told me he was at every, speaker's event and taking notes and learning, because kind of like me, we're people like us are like that, where we like to learn new things, and, it's fun for us, and we like to experiment and try new things. So people like us are, that's what we do. We just go, we get excited about something, we want to learn more about it, and we go and we'll go to these kind of things. And people look at us cross-eyed, like you went to that and you didn't have to, like it wasn't for work or something. It's like, no, I like this kind of stuff. So.
Oh my gosh, he stood out there in 400-degree heat for 4 hours searing steaks with 3 like 1,200-degree chimney starters. He was a rock star for sure. But and talking about a lot of this is why we kind of held off on making the decision on what we were going to do. Ultimately, we just felt like we had to go virtual for safety. We didn't want to put anybody at risk. And all of our focus on building this event is how can we not lose those aspects of it? Because certainly being in a virtual environment is different than being in person. And there are some limitations, but it also opens up other options. So one of the cool things we're talking about is having some of the chefs do cook along lunches. So we'll send out the ingredient list in advance, let you know kind of what you got to pre-cook or get in the bath that morning. And then you'll be able to choose, hey, do I want to go to this room with this chef, this room with this chef, and be able to make lunch together. So still enjoy the high quality food, even though we're not, all together in one place.
So let's talk about the 2020 virtual summit now.
Yep.
Is it going to be a mixture of live events and pre-recorded events? Is it, how, I know you're probably still in the process of planning it and trying to get it all together, but what is your vision of how this is going to go about?
The majority of the presentations and demos will be live. We have some speakers that are interested that live in Australia, and whether or not we can convince them to wake up at 3 a.m. to do a live presentation for us we'll see about that. But the majority of people will be doing their presentation live. There'll probably be snippets of video in their presentations just to highlight different things so people can see it a little bit better. But we like having our speakers on there. We're leaving, one of the feedback we got last year was there wasn't enough time for questions when you have these experts on there. So we're leaving more time for questions. We're going to be taking them from people watching the presentations live. And, me or Lennox Perez will be on there, and we'll be doing, kind of moderating and grabbing questions out of the crowd and sharing that with people. So it should be a live interactive experience the entire time.
Yep.
So there it is on the screen, going virtual, the ISVA Sous Vide Summit. Check it out at the isva.org, and the 2020 summit is listed. And so you can also look and see what happened in the 2019 summit. So,
and if you go to just sousvidesummit.com, it'll take you right there. So it's a little easier than having to remember our moniker.
So you have a couple pretty amazing guests on. So I see Kenji there in the middle. Is he planning on doing a presentation, or?
Yeah, he's planning to participate. We're still working out the specifics of what his presentation is going to look like, but he's planning to be involved as a presenter in some capacity. Master Chef Rich Rosendale, super excited to have him there as one of our keynotes, and of course James Brisson coming up, and he was so bummed.
No plane problems. Plane problems this year. He has no excuses. So.
Exactly. I also have to say I was pretty amazed last year. He opened a restaurant 2 weeks before our summit, and that he was still willing to come and I mean, so bummed when it didn't happen. That was pretty mind blowing. By the way, his restaurant is fantastic. I got to eat there a couple of months ago, and it was it's in Pensacola. But yeah, them being able to come, Gerard and AJ coming back from Crea and Cuisine Solutions. Our title sponsor this year for the virtual is Everidge, and they are going to send Michael Kelly, one of their lead executive chef, and he goes around teaching sous vide all over the place. So he's going to be one of the presenters. Of course, Meathead, you'll be there. Jason's trying to get me to do something, but I'm trying to save y'all from having to worry about that. So
Eric Villegas from
Yes.
Backmaster will be there. He was probably one of my favorite people I met at the conference. He's just
full of energy. He's full of energy.
Yes.
So energy, and he's so nice and just enthusiastic. He was great. So I'm really excited for him to come back. Dave Petranczyk, one of the most knowledgeable cooks that I've ever met will be there again, doing at least one or two presentations, and a lot of big names. So it should be I'm looking forward to learning a ton.
Yeah, and you know, being that it's virtual, it actually gives people, we're having more sessions this year. Partially because it's virtual, we're inviting more. So, I mean, that was one of the things that we were really happy with last year, was the diversity of the content. And I think, you know, talking about like Meathead going through and taking notes, and a lot of people, there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of different content, and we're still keeping that the same. We're going to be able to offer even more this year. So,
Chris and Paul, the pie guys, are coming back to do a custard pie this year.
They're going to do a sous vide custard pie this year. They just did one, and I think it was the pina colada pie. It wasn't sous vide, but they have just such inventive mixes, and they always win best in show for something. Their cherry pie, best cherry pie in the U.S. last year, it won at the National Pie Championships, and they were willing to put that in our cookbook. So that was awesome.
Yeah, they were on my podcast too. They were a couple of great guys. So yeah, I got their book too. Yeah, it was they had some really, really amazing pie recipes in there. But you're also going to have some new people on, like my favorite couple that I actually started following about 6 months ago, and they've grown really quick, is Carmen and Kevin Coe, from Kind of Cooking.
We actually just had a call with them this afternoon, a video call, just chatting and talking. They're so fun. I'm so excited that they're going to be able to be a part of this.
Yeah, they're going to be really big. I mean, I started watching their videos when they first started, and I told them, I said, you know, you guys got it. You know, you just put Carmen on the videos every time, though. You got to have Carmen. I told Kevin, I said, because he'd put his picture on the thumbnail, and I said, you got to put Carmen on there. She makes these goofy faces that you just want to click on it. So, but they're fun to watch. They're a couple of great. You're gonna have Lloyd Cappuccio on. I love Lloyd. He goes deeper into some of the, you know, minutia of sous vide than anybody I ever know, and I just like watching him and reading his blog and talking to him about some of the stuff that he does. I mean, he does stuff that I don't want to take the time to do.
Yeah. He blows my mind. I mean, the guy was an air traffic controller, and he just, the level of detail that he has on stuff and the enjoyment that he gets out of like all of the scientific testing, it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I like having him on the podcast because he can go down deep to, like I said, he takes the time to do stuff that I don't want. I love doing what I do, but I don't love it that much where I want to, you know, write a 12-page blog going into every single detail and doing it 8 different ways from Sunday. But but
his ice cream is also fun to watch. So
yeah, and
of course, any conference wouldn't be complete without Kevin Liddell speaking, and I'm sure trolling the comments of all the other speakers. So
hi, Kevin. He'll enjoy that.
Yeah, Kevin loves attention. So
the snarkiest voice in sous vide cooking.
He is
exactly. He's always behind you, going, oh yeah, you know.
Exactly. Ali Romero too is going to be a lot of fun, from Ali's Elegant Eats. She's a Bay Area local and a big food blogger. She does a lot of stuff with Food Network, and just in the brief time that we've known her, it's just been really fun to kind of get to know what she does, and I'm really excited to see what she comes up with as far as the presentation.
And you got Erica Turk too. So
yes,
yeah,
she's I think she wins the award for most hassled by TSA every week, because she like flies with packages full of beef and salmon, and you know, gets stopped every single time. Why are you carrying on 80 pounds of chuck roast?
Right.
Or whatever. So
and Cole's coming back from Inova as well.
Yeah, that's Cole's all right.
Steve Roybal is another one that I'm pretty excited about. I don't know if you guys have seen him posting around. He has a supper club, but man, his plating is just on point, and I think he's going to do some demos on different plating accents, and just a home cook that's fallen in love with, you know, making his food look awesome. And
I also have an inside track that everyone's favorite exotic meat chef, Justice Stewart, he's committed to coming back, but he might have to record his ahead of time or do it remotely because apparently it's his birthday weekend. And he has a fishing trip to Maine planned, fishing for shark. So he might do a remote location fishing for shark and then sous videing it type of combination demo. Coming live from a boat in the middle of the Maine waters. But that could be fascinating to see him talk about shark and cooking that up.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I know he loves doing the exotic stuff. I mean, I watch him all the time. You know, he'll post some stuff on Facebook, and some of that stuff that he cooks, it's like, I wouldn't even have thought of cooking that, but okay.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't sound good to me, but you know, hey, some people are more adventurous than others. So,
know what else impresses me about him though? Like if you get his book is great as well, Mastering the Art of Sous Vide Cooking, and he just has this palate for like world cuisine. He has this desire to explore. That's a lot of what I like to do when I travel, is like you experience culture through food, right? And he just has this ability to pull recipes from different cultures and really explore what makes them unique, and that it's a lot of what I've taken out of his book. So I'm always excited to hear him. He's also just a fun guy to hang around with and hear talk. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and he, like I said, he's always got some kind of weird stuff that he likes to cook, but it's always fun to watch. And he plates amazingly too. Some of the stuff you go, wow, look at that. So,
yeah.
I mean, but
never thought of eating ostrich, but when it looks like that, maybe I would try.
I've had ostrich before, but I mean, he does some other stuff that you're just like, okay.
I think the most wild one, and I love game, I love adventurous meat, but I think the wildest one I've seen him do was the Sichuan style jellyfish. I didn't even know you could eat jellyfish, but that's on his blog. That one's pretty intense.
Jellyfish is shockingly crunchy. I had no idea until after Justice talked about that. We went out to a Chinese restaurant here in the city, and it was specific to a province that eats a lot of jellyfish, and so they had two different jellyfish preparations on the menu, and so we got it, and it was different. I don't think I enjoyed it, but it was definitely an unusual texture and taste that I couldn't really compare to anything else I've ever had.
Well, now I know where I'm eating next time I come to New York.
Yeah.
Jellyfish. Put it on a little toast with peanut butter, right?
Hey, Darren, could you smoke that?
Yeah, I could probably. It's like octopus, you know, it's good on the grill, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I bet you some cold smoked jellyfish. There's an application for that.
Yeah. Gonna have to try that out. All right. So let's talk about what else is going on. So we got the International Sous Vide Summit coming out, and it's going to be virtual. What are the dates for that now?
August 21st through the 23rd.
And I will have that listed, you know, in the description below as well. So
awesome.
Now you got some other stuff coming out. So who wants to talk about the other things you got coming down the pike for the International Sous Vide Association?
I want to talk about the
you're the brains of the network, Mike. So
I don't know. I think this was your brainchild, but we just wrapped up yesterday our first recipe contest, which is pretty exciting. It was Sous Vide Comfort Foods, and we got a bunch of great submissions. That I know, Darren, you've already been through them. You're one of our judges. But there's a lot of really good looking food there. And I had a really hard time going through and narrowing down my list. So, you know, it'll be exciting. We're our judges are working on it this week, and then that's going out next week for a live vote on Facebook. So watch our page, facebook.com/the ISVA, and we'll have voting up there probably in about a week. But then we're going to try to do these monthly, at least for the next few months, because they're fun and give us something to do in the quarantine time. So starting June 1st, we're going to have a sous vide barbecue contest. So that's the next one. And that'll give you guys about a week to get some extra prep before we put it on Facebook. So there's a little throw in for Darren's podcast listeners there.
The other big thing we have coming down is we're just opening up our new network for Sous Vide enthusiasts. We're trying to build a community, kind of more interactions for the people that are at the conference and people from the Facebook groups that can come together and, share recipes, talk about sous vide, get a lot of benefits to, some perks for the conferences, discounts, some VIP access to some of the speakers. And so we're trying to build out some of that stuff, which will hopefully provide a lot of information. And really, we're focused on providing a community for sous vide enthusiasts.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where we'll host. We already have all the audio recordings in there from last year's summit for most of the sessions. So that's where we'll host that. We'll be able to host the recordings from this year's conference, and have some special VIP talks with some of the all-star sous viders that come to the conference, just little Q&A sessions. And we're doing some of those on Facebook currently, and Jason's been taking the head on those. So we just did one with Dave Petranzik last week, and we've got, I don't know if we have the next one on the calendar yet, but they're coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've been chatting with a few different people. So I know Darren has talked about coming on. Justice is coming on, and I've talked to a few other. AJ has expressed interest. So we're got some big names coming up, and it's a fun time. Dave and I made some smoked daiquiris and then chatted sous vide for a while. So it's always an interesting time and enjoyable.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot more interest coming up, I think, in the last 6 months now. There's a lot more innovation coming into the sous vide cookers.
Mm-hmm.
There's more, with that more interest, there comes more companies that are offering sous vide, not just the cheap Chinese knockoffs. I'm talking like with Vesta, coming out with a full product line aimed more at the home cook.
Yep.
There's more interest in some of the bigger vac sealer companies that have been concentrating mostly on, the commercial side, that are starting to, see that there's a lot more, the vacuum sealers get a lot more action now because of sous vide cooking. People are looking at vacuum sealers more than they did.
Yeah.
Food savers, have been around, and seal a meal and all that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But not as now that people are seeing they can use it for sous vide. I think it's getting more and more of them in people's homes. And I've seen chamber sealers now. You can get a good home-sized chamber sealer, for $500-600.
Yeah.
That's not taking up your whole counter like the Backmasters do. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot more interest, and I think sous vide is driving a lot of that, and more people wanting to cook. And I think this pandemic has helped with that as well. I saw a lot more traffic come through the Facebook group, and
Absolutely.
even my YouTube channel and all that, just from people wanting to learn because they got nothing else to do, right?
Yeah. It's been a hard time, but there's, it's like everything. There's always silver lining. There's always benefits. There's always good things that come out of the hard times. And I know even for myself, I mean, I've got a lot going on. I've had a lot more time to cook for the family. And I know a lot of families are in that same kind of place, and had to be a little more creative because we're trying not to go to the grocery store, every day. Which I kind of miss. That was sort of my free time. I go at 9:00 at night, go shopping when the store was empty. But there's a lot of focus that we've been able to do. There's a lot of just time to talk about other projects. The community, which is called Champions of Sous Vide, is something we've talked about, but hey, when was that going to happen? Well, look, we're given this perfect time to roll this out, and with all of the separation and the distancing, we really want that to be a place that can bring people together. And I mean, I actually, as few sessions as I went to, I made some great friends at the first summit. Like there's power in getting together. And that's really, I think, what the hope for the community is just to build relationships and new friendships and all of that kind of stuff. So, it's given us time to focus on, I think, what's important in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it's, when getting back to what you said, since people are, home locked down, they're pulling stuff out of their freezer that they haven't, seen in a long time, or they're trying to find the stuff in their cupboard and figure out different ways to cook it and different menus to try, because can't go to restaurants. You can't go out and try something new. I mean, so they're having to cook at home a lot more. And so I found Jason, have you found that your book sales or your website traffic and the Facebook group have gone up since then too?
Yeah, the website traffic really has. The book sales, not quite as much. I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there about, jobs and, financial stability. So there's been a little less book sales, but there's been I have the free email course, the Sous Vide Quickstart, and a lot of people are taking that. We've seen that really jump up a lot, and tons more web traffic.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, Mike. It's there's always a silver lining to this, and I think that once people start to get hooked, like we have, I got hooked on sous vide. It was just like lighting a fire,
Yeah.
And I think people get excited. I've seen a lot more people come in my Facebook group, and they're just excited. They got their first sous vide. People are going out and buying all the equipment, even though it is tough times right now. But sous vide you don't have to go out and buy the most expensive equipment to get started. That's the good thing about it. You can use a stock pot and a $60 cheap sous vide unit nowadays. You don't have to spend like when they first came out, $500-$600.
Yeah. A lot of the manufacturers, though, I mean, Innova just had that great sale, and I can't tell you how many. I sold at least 3 or 4 of those units in this one group I'm a part of, and they were like, "Oh man, I'm saving half. Now I can spend that money, and I'll buy the container, I'll buy the sealer. We just got outfitted for what we would have bought before." So it's definitely, even this period of time, I think, has made it more accessible in some ways, for that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great sale. I mean, people were stupid if they didn't buy the Innova Pro at $200. I mean,
I was so close to buying another one because I just love that machine, but my wife's like, "You already have 4."
Yeah,
four
that's me.
circulators.
I've got 6 circulators, and I don't need another one. But I should have bought some for Christmas gifts, because out of all the Innovas, that's my favorite. I got mine before it even worked with the app, and I liked it even better.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't use the app that much. I use it occasionally to monitor it when I'm in the office, or change if I want to do something with it and shut it off, or just monitor it pretty much. I don't do a whole lot with it, but still, I mean, it's a great unit. So
yeah, that was fun at the summit, getting to meet some of these new companies. I mean, I love the VacMaster I have. I love the Vesta circulator I have. There's some just awesome equipment out there. And of course, Polyscience is amazing to use as well. So
I still have that was the first circulator I got. Was Polyscience sent me one of their units back when I was just a fledgling blogger 9-10 years ago, and I still have it. And it still works just as good as it did the first day that I took it out of the package. It's amazing that a decade later it's
crazy
plugging away.
Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of people, especially the new people, or I mean, Facebook's Facebook. People look at dollar signs, and it's not just sous vide, it's on grills and everything.
Yeah.
They'll look at dollar signs and think, and I see this on, I just did a video because I broke down and bought the Innova container. I had some Lapavi stuff, and I just said, I really wasn't going to spend the money on it, but the more I thought about it, I said, you know what, I really want to get that just so I can see how much better it is than the Lapavi thing, which is not made for sous vide. It's, pretty much a storage container that they have a hole in it. And I actually really like it, but people will sit there and complain, "Oh, $70 for a container. I can just, use a stock pot." And it's like, yes, you can, but this was literally designed for sous vide. And there's a lot of things that are thrown into this that you would pay extra for if you just buy one of those Lapavi containers that aren't much cheaper. When I do reviews, I break it down by, this is why, this does this is that, and this is why I like it, this is why I don't like it. I try to be as honest as I can and just show the practical reasons why. this is more expensive than a plastic food saver
Yeah.
that only costs $70 for a reason, guys. You know, it's
Yeah.
not built to last like the Polyscience, you know, the $50 cheap Chinese, you know, Anko brand that just showed up on Amazon last week is not a Polyscience, and it's not going to last as long. It's not going to be as accurate. So
The one that literally boils your food when you're not looking, Jason.
Yeah, I was doing some lovely circulator testing last week, I guess it was, and I was actually being interviewed on a podcast, and then I heard boiling water behind me, and I didn't have the stove on, and then I heard just incessant beeping, and the circulator that I was testing malfunctioned. It brought it to a boil, and so I had a tri-tip flat iron steak and something else in there. So all three of them were now well done instead of medium rare, and there's $40 or $50 worth of meat in there because I was cooking for the week. And if I had bought that for $50 to save $50, I would have not had a circulator anymore, and I would have ruined $50 worth of food.
Yeah.
I could have just got a high quality circulator to start with.
Exactly.
Thank God the media didn't get a hold of that, though. Could you imagine? They're boiling in a bag. It's real.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you have that, whatever. And like I said, you're always going to have that kind of stuff. But it just cracks me up sometimes. And people will argue over the silliest things. But, that's the internet, I guess. But
I like having a company behind the equipment that I'm buying, that there's Polyscience is a company that cares about their brand.
Yeah.
Same with Anova and Vacmaster and Vesta and Jewel. Like, these are all companies. They aren't just things that are being drop shipped by random people trying to make money on Amazon. You might like one better than the other, but you can always yell at Cole if Anova goes wrong because it's a company that cares about their brand. And you can yell at Dave for Polyscience and Eric for Vacmaster. They all have people out there that you can communicate with and complain to if you need to.
And they're usually going to take care of you if there is an issue. So that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
To have somebody that's going to, not just have the big presence, but also take care of you when you have an issue and make you feel warm and fuzzy, So, but yeah, it's definitely sometimes it's worth the extra price just for that alone.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably very similar to this one that's $40 cheaper, but am I going to, have $40 worth of headache that I probably wouldn't have had with this other one? So,
yeah.
Like most things, the cheap one works fine when it's working. And when it goes wrong, which will probably happen more quickly with the cheap one, it's almost impossible to get fixed.
Well, especially when it's your first circulator. I mean, so there was a brand that shall not be named that is no longer on the market. But I had bought one because it was the brand at the moment. Everybody was buying them, and I'm like, okay, I got to check this out. It's a pretty good price for Wi-Fi and all this. The first one I got just kept going up and up and up. Like the one Jason had, it just never stopped at the temperature I set it for. So I sent it back, and they sent me a new one. Finally showed up. I take it out, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem right. So I check the temperature, and it's 10 degrees off. From what it says it's set at. So I go to email the contact back, and now their doors are shut. Well, I bought one of those for a friend of mine who was cooking chicken breast, which is not something you want to play around with. And I'm like, go check the temperature right now and make sure. Sure enough, it was off, and he wouldn't have known. I mean, 10 degrees chicken, you can kind of tell from the color. But with a lot of things, now your pasteurization times are off. And if I just told him, hey, cook it for this long and it's safe, but you don't realize the temp is 10 degrees off, I mean, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, especially when it's a precision cooking device.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with sous vide is precision cooking. half a degree is okay, but 10 degrees. I mean, I've had some. I had some. Jason, I'm sure you get a bunch all the time where people send them to you. Well, try my unit. It's like, all right, half of them go in the garbage because that's the first thing I check. I take my instant read. I'll let it sit there for an hour, and I'll put my instant read in there. And if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees off, it goes in the garbage. I mean, this is precision cooking. It's not just heat it up to whatever temperature you want it to be. I mean, it doesn't if it doesn't get to the temperature it's supposed to be at, or at least within a half a degree or 1 degree, then there's no sense in even trying to play with it. So,
Yeah.
So Jason, you got some things going on with your website and stuff too, right? With Amazing Food Made Easy, and then your Facebook page.
Yep, got a few courses for people that are interested in learning about sous vide. Got the free sous vide quick start course. Then we got the Sous Vide Made Easy. I think you have a link to that from your site as well. I think you're an affiliate for ours. They're both, the quick starts designed to take someone that, you've had your sous vide machine sit in your closet for the last 3 months and you just haven't had time to get around to it. It takes you from being scared of it to having cooked 2 or 3 meals successfully, and it just simplifies the whole process. So now you feel comfortable moving forward with your machine. And the Sous Vide Made Easy is a paid video course, and it dives into a lot more details about how you determine temperature, how you pick time, a bunch of different recipes, how beef works, chicken works, fish works, and it kind of steps you through from being a beginning to intermediate to being intermediate to advanced with your sous vide machine.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing people need to get to understand when they first start looking at sous vide, is what it can actually do. And instead of just looking at it, well, I can cook a good steak with it. I mean, once they start really playing around with the different proteins and how they can take, I just did a video that I'm publishing right now because of the way, the meat's going up in price. Everybody's, because all the packing houses are, shutting down. So meat is going up in price. So I'm doing a video of showing you how to use sous vide to take those cheaper cuts like chuck roast and top round and bottom round roast that normally you got to cook to death, braise them and just get well done, or they're really tough, and use sous vide to make those cheaper cuts a lot more palatable and more delicious, and show you how to use it for that. And I think people don't really understand that. They think it's a one-hit wonder. I can make a good steak, or I can make chicken breast, but it does so much more once you start playing around and then start mixing it with other cooking methods as well. So
I had 40-hour chuck roast tonight for dinner with chimichurri, and it was, put it this way, my 13-month-old could eat it. It was tender enough, at a nice medium rare. So it's, and even beyond that, I mean, Dave's one of his presentations at the summit last year was called Sous Vide Beyond Steak, and there is just, I think one of the most life-changing things I tasted at the summit was Korea's lentils. The sous vide lentils, oh my gosh, they're amazing. And I make those all the time now. So the things you can do with it are just so versatile. And you're right, a lot of people are very hey, it can do a steak, what else? Well, that's kind of what we're trying to show with the diversity of the conference content, because there's so much more.
And it's precision cooking, and I think people they tend to overlook that. I just did some black-eyed peas where I used a sous vide to power soak the peas, because normally you gotta either you boil them and then let them sit there for a couple hours in the hot water, or you soak them overnight, in a pan and just let them sit there and soak up water. Now I used the sous vide to kind of power, so kind of mix the two together. I put it at 190 degrees, and for an hour and a half, and it worked perfect. Just showing people how they can use that, for not just cooking a steak. I used it to make it easier on me and make it a batch of black-eyed peas. So, but that's what really gets me going too, is showing people that. And I think that's what's really why that it's not going to fall like like the George Foreman grill or the Instapot type thing. It's not just a little one device that does one thing and then you throw it in the bottom of your cabinet and never see it again.
Yeah. Well, and the longevity in the restaurants, and in the type of restaurants that it's been in. I mean, Thomas Keller doesn't use a George Foreman grill at the French Laundry.
Exactly.
There's certainly a lot that these chefs know that we're just starting to learn on the home cook side a lot. So
well, and people are still experimenting with it, and I know that was one thing that Crea did last year, where they showed all the different with the different liquids and stuff that they were doing with it, the extractions and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
So
gosh,
The cryo concentration and stuff.
Yeah.
Is amazing.
mind blowing.
So, well, all right, guys, we've been on here long enough. I know you got families you want to get back to, but I really enjoyed talking to you guys. So we'll do it again soon, and we'll make sure that we, talk about the International Sous Vide Association's 2020 Sous Vide Summit, and I will post it up on my blog and Facebook group and all that. And check it out down below in the description if you're listening here, to make sure you be a part of the Sous Vide Summit that'll be happening virtually this year.
It's going to be a blast.
Can't wait.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before I let you go? I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Just
Thanks
excited to be on.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Always fun to hang out with you.
Well, I like talking. We all like talking. But we're sous vide geeks. So, but I look forward to participating in the Sous Vide Summit and seeing you guys virtually. And maybe someday soon we'll see you in person again. So I need to make another trip up to New York, and maybe we can get Mike to drive up north.
There you
Definitely.
All righty. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you again on the next one.
Thanks, Darren.